Hi everyone, I hope everyone can hear me alright. I'm Random Fox checking in from Belgium. I'm taking a look here at the Discord channel, Bass Gorilla. A lot of people online. Shout out to everyone. And today we're going to produce a liquid drum and bass track. Right. Okay, Fumo, am I set to go? I think I am. Alrighty. So the first thing we're going to do in a modern drum and bass track, the pinnacle of drum and bass, is the ominous snare drum. And I like to use kick 2 for the transient and the body at the same time. I know a lot of producers try to divide the process in first making the transient and then making the snare, but I like to do it at the same time, which means that I'm going to need, it's going to be a snare that punches in around 200 Hertz, typical drum and bass snare. There we go. This a bit lower, and then you can also play around with the pitch envelope, let it go up again and down a little bit, etc. I'm going to remove this click, and then the amp envelope can be start to finish. And let's listen. There we go. Not too long, not too short. Let's play around with the amp envelope a little bit. Okay, here we are. Now on these headphones I cannot really hear the transient. I cannot really hear if the transient is coming through. So what I did is I prepared a little patch, which I'm sure is, that's better, which I'm sure is okay. It's got this punchy body and transient that we need to go. So what I'm going to do now, later on I will resample this, so we can just do this and this, etc. And now we have the main body and the transient of the snare drum. We're going to add in some tails. By the way, don't hesitate to ask me any questions on Discord. I'll be checking it once in a while, so go ahead. There's this great sample pack full of drums. It's called Super Drums, available at ImageLine, for example. And it has a nice selection of snares. As you can see, over 2000 snares. So let's random, here we go. Why not? Let's try and drag this in. Now, as you will notice, this will not sound good. The transients overlap, the punch at a 200 Hertz punch overlaps, so I'm going to do two things to it. Hi Mercury Ken. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, there we go, take away that 200 Hertz bump in the new snare, so that we can really focus on this one and don't have any phase issues either. And then I'm going to take away the transient with my favorite plugin, LFO tool. There we go. If you set it up like this, just controlling the volume, then you can easily duck the new transient and leave some space for the kick to transient. There we are. So that's the basis of the snare drum, but we're going to layer this with other tails as well. Now, as you can see, I'm copying this file, so we already have the fab filter and the LFO tool present. I like this tail as well. There we go, it fits right in. It just adds to the sound a whole lot, without and with. Yeah, another possible candidate. There we are. Now I think that this is quite a good snare to start with. Let's see. Yeah, this is really a metallic-y snare. I'm going to cut out some of the mids still. Yeah, better. Definitely better. Okay. This is our main snare. Of course, we're going to put some effects on there. And first of all, again, something image liney, the multiband compressor. You can also purchase this for other DAWs. So here we go. This plugin is really good for putting the smack into a drum sample. I'm going to make this tail a bit shorter. There we are. Puncher, and that's it. So what I regularly do is take a oscilloscope plugin, for example, Shop, or however you pronounce this, and take a look at how, what the snare looks like. As you can see, let me freeze it. We've got a very big spike here, very nasty transient. So I'll just try and put the limiter on this plugin, and let's see. That sharp transient is gone. By the way, my master channel has got the Pro L on it, doing nothing but just limiting everything that exceeds 0 decibels. As you can see here, the attack is all the way up and the release is all the way down, and that's it. I also have span here, so let's check where the 200 Hertz peak comes. It should be around -6, and it's okay. Maybe we can put this a bit louder. Going to use a tool plugin for that here in Bitwig. It's the utility plugin from Ableton. There we go. Right. So this is our main snare. Now, I always like to think of a song as some kind of painting. Actually, there is the foreground with the things that you noticed, what this song or what this painting is about, but there's also the background. Imagine a painting with no background. It wouldn't be necessary for you to get the message that the song or the painting is giving you, but it definitely needs a background. So that is why I am going to add some kind of clap and put some reverb on it, and put the volume really down, so it's really there in the background, subconsciously creating depth. Let's see. There are some Vengeance claps that are really fit for that, for example. Let's see. It's already got some reverb on there, so maybe extra reverb is not necessary. Going to try to put a Valhalla Room on there and see what that gives us. Here we are. Righty. I'm just going to keep this. I'm going to reduce the volume a bit more so that it really creates space more than really adds another sound to it. Okay. It's resampling time. I'm going to resample this one, and then we can use this as an audio file and reduce some CPU. I'm now going to deactivate this track, and there we go. That's all that's left. And we can happily copy this along, and we have what is going to be our snare drum. Later, when we'll be mixing this in, we'll probably be adding some more effects to the sounds, but for now, that's all right. Which brings us to the next topic, the kick drum. I'm also going to use Kick2 for that, since most people seem to rely on that nowadays. I also very much fancy Metrum by Vengeance Sound. Let's remove the click again and take there we are. I should only use this snare since this is the the one with the tails. That's better. So, not very keen on searching for a transient inside kick 2, so I'm going to go to my Vengeance samples again, and I'm going to look for a transient that we can use for the drum and bass kick drum. Let's see, bass drums. I don't want anything too fancy. Maybe if we take a look at this. Need some top end as well. This might work. Let's see. I'm going to select this one, and then I'm going to cut out the tail. So we only have, there we go. What I just did was I made it a bit shorter. So we only have the transient left, and I cut out everything below, let's say 250, to make sure that it doesn't intervene with kick 2. Oh really, you can't hear me auditioning the samples? Okay, I will not do that again then. It's alright. I'm now going to quote Joe Ford right here on Bass Gorilla, who says that a drum and bass kick moves until it dies out. And I think that is what it's different from the EDM's kick drum. An EDM kick drum has a transient, a quick smack, and then boom. But this kick drum just keeps on going down in pitch. We can shorten this a little bit, play around with the amp again. There we are. Like I said, this is very strong, and then suddenly it dies out. You can see it right here. There we are. I'm now going to find a good balance between these two. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think that's all right. Let's see. Okay, let's go with another multiband compressor. Here we are. Let's put the limiter on. And in a kick drum, the mid frequencies are not that important. I mean, the frequency spectrum is all over the place, so you have to kind of decide which ones you're going to let shine through. And if you want some clarity, I suggest that you leave this area unattended and this area for the punch. Let's take a look at span, where we can see that the peak of the kick drum is way below the peak of the snare. So we should address that for a second. Of course, the lower you go, the less headroom it can have. So I guess that this is okay. Good. Now we have that settled. I want to show you another trick. It's like a multi-band LFO tool called Shaper Box, or Volume Shaper as it used to be called. I mainly use the volume module on here, and it allows you to specifically, for one frequency, cut out tails where you want to. You can also use this as a compressor, as a transient shaper even. It's great. If this were a girl, I would definitely, etc. This is me doing some cutting on the mid frequencies. Let's put this to 1/8. I don't know if you can hear the difference, but it's a bit cleaner than it used to be. There we go. Very punchy, and that's what we like. Good. Now we have the kick and the snare ready to go. Only a hi-hat or multiple hi-hats is what we need now. We have, again, I'm going to look through my Vengeance samples, but you can use everything that you want to. You don't need any fancy samples to make this kind of stuff. If you have kick 2, you're set to go. Okay, let's see. What I'm now going to do, by the way, I'm going to yeah, that's a bit more lively, isn't it? I'm going to put a hat wherever there is nothing playing. For example, we have a kick drum here, so that means I'm not going to put a hi-hat right here. We have a snare drum here, so I'm going to put one in the middle. We don't have anything over here or here, and we don't have anything over here. Same here, only that this is going to move over here, so this doesn't overlap. Let's see. That's it. The question is though, can we add a bit more depth? Can we add a bit more space to the drums? It is very modern to have a very dry drum, but I always like to add some addictive drums for specifically for the hi-hat, so you can fill up the spectrum in the drum range. A very open hi-hat, not too frequent. Here we are. One on every beat. I'm not going to do any sidechaining on this just yet. Just let it roll and fill out the background. Yeah, that should get us there. Yeah, absolutely. Mercury Ken says, I like the hi-hat groove. I like the hi-hat to groove, not the hi-hat groove that I just made. Let's be clear. What you can do, for example, now in modern drum and bass, the groove is, I feel, becoming less important, less popular. On the other hand, there is this drum and bass scene that really focuses on the groove and makes the groove shine. Now, an artist that's right smack in the middle of this is Netsky, for example. He said that he can judge whether a track is well produced by the number of layers of grooves that you have. What we can do to create a groove is just add, let's see, drum and bass samples, BHK. I'm not going to audition this a lot because you guys can't hear it. I'm just going to add this right here. The tempo is 174 and we are in 175, so that means I'm going to let's say stretch AD this a little bit, and here we go. And if we just cut out the bottom, so we just leave the hi-hats and snare groove there. Not really feeling this one, it's a bit too distorted. Let's try something like this. Maybe it's also because I'm just pushing everything in the limiter and that causes the distortion. We'll see about that now. No, this is better. Definitely better. What you can also do is add some ghost snares or create this hi-hat groove that goes to that, and then you're set to go. Let's keep in this break in the background. What you can do with LFO tool is I have made a preset called extract snare, and it extracts the snare from whatever you're doing. It can also create room for the snare in a melody or a bass line. Subtle difference, I'll take it off. I'm going to keep it on, but I'm going to reduce its effect a bit. There we go. And there's one more thing that people like to do, and that is add some crashes in the background. Let me take these off and alternate. There we go. This is a bit too loud compared to this one. Again, 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 and here. Here. So what we can do as well is span this one a bit to the left, this one a bit to the right. Let's group them and let's see if we can use this to create another background. Sure, I'll try Valhalla Room again for some reverb. And maybe cut out some of the lows and mids to make it less obtrusive. There we go. I can even get away with pulling the volume down a bit further so it really takes the role of the background. Good, now we have our drums set. I'm going to put a fab filter on there to equalize it a bit more. I guess that's okay, just cut out unnecessary part, but they weren't coming through anyway, so it's not really doing a lot. What I also like is Isotope dynamic plugin. Here we are. To bring out a bit more of the punch, and I will usually have a vintage warmer follow that. A vintage warmer is also a clipper, but I'm usually mixing it in with the dry signal. There we go. What I like to do is I like to reduce the volume over here just a little bit so that this can shine through. And I don't do it by increasing this volume, but rather by decreasing, or in this case, limiting and compressing this volume here. Let's see. Go. And that's it for the drums. Right. Now, this is the basis of drum and bass, but it doesn't make your track different from anything else. So we should get melodical as soon as possible. What I like to do is create some kind of background idea first to, you know, get the groove going, get the inspiration flowing. I don't like to start with just the bass and then add to that. I really want to start with a bigger sonic canvas. One of the ways to do that is to find a chord structure using saws, just some quick super saws that very likely will get mixed in the background once the song progresses. And at the same time, this gives me the opportunity to tell you something about the multiband compressor in Serum. What I feel is that you really need to understand this beast of an effect to really get the most out of it. What it does is it will show you a blue line in a second, and the blue line is your original sound. The orange indicator is the new sound, the new volume of that specific frequency band. This is the high frequency, mid frequency, and low frequency band. This in the middle is the middle between the downwards and the upwards compression. So what it does is this pulls your orange indicator either away more in volume from the original sound or less. Let me explain, let me show you. As we can see now, this was compressed. The orange volume was somewhat smaller or more to this side than the blue one, or original volume. So I can pull it all the way over here, and then the volume increases. So now it's compressing, downwards compressing, now it's going up. And I can do this with all three of them. If I want to move them all, I can also do use this, but I can fine tune it over here. So like I said, if you want to have a lower volume in the higher regions, then you pull it this way, otherwise you pull it that way. Let's see. I'm not going to do a whole lot. So it's compressing ever so slightly, but that's enough. Go. Some standard saw waves with some reverb. Nothing too fancy. There we are. I'm now going to look for a chord structure that we can use so as to have the ideas flowing. And what I like to do is I like to find some kind of bass below two notes that are very close together, because they will always create a very specific atmosphere. They're not atonal, but they sound cool. It's like this. Why not go with that one? I'm going to put it an octave lower though. This can be the sonic canvas that I was talking about. It establishes the mood and it gets us where we want in that creative zone. Let me quickly draw this out. Bum, and this rhythm is repeated. There we go. Then let's quickly add this. There we are. Okay, Now, a little thing to do in Serum, I'm going to make the notes velocity sensitive. There we go. Just drag the velocity over to the level of the sound. And then I'm going to pull back the velocity of the higher notes a little bit. Here we are. And right. So this is going to be the atmosphere of the song, the chord structure. And now let's take a look at some bass design. I'm going to open up Serum again, and the first bass that I'm going to show you two kinds of basses that a lot of producers use. And the first one is a regular sine inspired bass sound. Let's just drag this over here and quickly make this into a there we are. And this. Okay, now the click you hear in the beginning can be avoided by just dragging the attack a bit over here. We're going to make this mono legato, although none of the notes overlap. We don't need a lot of release. And then I'm going to put a fat filter on there. No, an octave higher. And this sine has to be a bit creamier. So what you can do in Serum is easily draw in some overtones. So this is our sine wave, and we're now going to introduce a second and a bit of a third harmonic. Let me show you over here. Second, third. We do want this sub bass to be peaking at around -6 decibels though. So let's see, Serum over here and span over here. And then I'm going to increase the volume until we reach that desired -6 decibel. Here we go, perfect. Now to give the bass a bit more movement, we're going to introduce LFO tool again. And I'm going to make some kind of ARP using just LFO tool. That's better. There we are, no more clicks, and we have our bass sound. The lower regions are really important to get some desired heaviness to your song, but I think in this case that's okay. We'll be sideshading it later on to have less distortion. Now a second kind of bass that you can make, let me mute this one. We're also going to use Serum for that, and we're going to erase LFO tool for a sec. Is a Reese bass with some pitch bends, which is also very popular in modern drum and bass music. I'm going to choose the basic shapes and put a sine wave here. I'm going to decrease the stereo width of the unison a little bit, because we want our bass sounds a bit more in the middle. I'm also going to introduce a sub. Let's see where it's at. Alrighty. That's one thing we can do. What we can do to make this a bit more interesting. Let me just add another compressor, multiband. As you can see, it's really compressing the bass. And the reason why you could hear a lot of top end There wasn't a lot of compression going on there, but there was a lot of compression going on here. So that makes for this part to be shinier. And in this case, that's not really necessary. So what we're going to do now is we're going to introduce an LFO to the level to introduce a little wobble there. I'm going to turn off the BPM. And whenever I do a pitch bend, I believe that Joe Ford showed us this in a previous Bass Gorilla tutorial, I want the LFO rates to be a bit higher. Let's see, I'm going to link this to the pitch bend. Here we are. And then in the matrix, reduce the effect a little bit. This is bipolar, but that's okay, I guess. Alrighty. So let's see what this does for our track. I'm going to introduce some pitch bends now and we'll see where that gets us. MIDI lane, pitch bend, and here we go. Let's see, I think that this is, yeah, better. The volume is way too high. Right, let's see what we can do with the pitch bend to give it some cool effect. Channel 1 pitch bend. Let's pitch it up right at the last little segment here. Maybe a bit sooner. Yeah. Do the same thing here. Not too often though, because you will lose that sub bass. When the entire bass goes higher, you lose the sub. I'm going to drop it here already. 0. And maybe we should just lazily copy this to the other notes and be done with it. Alrighty. When you have to add more grit to a sound, you can always rely on Saturn 2, which has a lot of amp models in here. So let's increase the distortion here, and these 4 knobs are there just to equalize whatever distortion that you're bringing into the equation. Right. Good. As you can see, we're really going for a modern drum and bass poppy song instead of something that you'd expect at a 90s rave party. So be warned. So I guess I'm just going to leave this bass then and the other bass. What I would do is I would use this bass if later in the track you see that the melody is really taking up a lot of the frequency space, and I would use this bass if you need some of the background filled with heavy bass material. So we're now going to keep this one, and I'm going to show you how I sidechain. So first I use a sidechain trigger. Let's take a look at the drums. We can just copy the drum layer, that's easy. The kick layer, I mean, over here to this instrument track, and then we can use a Vengeance plugin called MIDI Bay, which is going to send a signal through the whole of your DAW for any other device. We'll get to that later, to receive. It's really cool. So let's call this kick, because this is the kick trigger. It's also velocity sensitive, so we're going to put up the velocity at maximum, and then we're going to create a bass channel to sidechain, and we're going to send our bass. I'm going to group the basses first and call this bass bus or whatever, and then send it to the sidechain channel. There we go. Now it should be, yeah, it's coming right over here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add this multi-band sidechain plugin here, which can receive whatever the MIDI bay is transmitting. So if you put it on MIDI and we choose MIDI bay kick, then this is going to receive incoming MIDI notes and duck the low frequencies in this case, which I can define here. Let's say that the low frequencies are the frequencies below 500 Hertz. It's going to duck them like this, and the high frequencies need less ducking. Let's say this immediately, but less. And this can have a few milliseconds to duck lower than the rest. Let's see what it gives us. Neat, great. And what I do is I also put a, there we go, snare sidechain in there. Same same tactic, MIDI bay. And then I put a multi-band over here, and I don't choose this kick, I choose the snare over here, and it does exactly the same thing. Now what I want is the lows, let's say below 500 Hertz again, to duck moderately, and the highs sharply, but just in the beginning, and then it can release the ducking again. Right, I do this for every track. I have a bass sidechain, a lead sidechain, and something I call a rest sidechain, where all the effects and the pads and everything go. And always, I am so stupid because I forgot to actually make a snare trigger. Let's do that right away. Bum. 2, 3. We can increase the velocity as well, but it's already increased. Yeah. Drag it over here. And now this should work as well. Yes, it is receiving the incoming MIDI notes from the snare sidechain, this one as well. So let's call this snare trigger, and the other one kick trigger. I'm not really following the YouTube channel, but hey, military mode game guy. So let's see, we already have some kind of background. We have a bass line set up. And what we can do now, we have 15 minutes left, is find a suitable melody. Since you guys are so keen of Serum, I'm going to use this one again. And let's see what we can come up with. What I usually like to do for a very easy, lazy melody is maybe use a little bit of detune. Why is this not coming through? Where did I insert my Serum? Just a second, guys. Why am I not hearing anything here? This is going to the bass sidechain. Right. This is going to the master bus. This is going to the bass sidechain. That's where I put my Serum. That's better. So Serum goes here, and then we're going to try and find the lead. Now, what I usually take a little bit of unison bass lead sound, and then I add a vibrato by putting a very quick LFO on the fine tuning. I can let it rise a little bit, so it gradually starts to add that vibrato, and then I add a Valhalla vintage verb. There we go. And then what I can do is put on a mono legato, because we only have a monotonous lead, so to say. And let's play around with that until we get something catchy. We can't really hear anything. Better, better. Let's go with that. Here we go. And then the pa-pum-pum. This needs to be a whole lot faster. Let's listen again. Bum, 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 bum. Right, and I think now is the time to duplicate this loop, because we're going to work with the question answer structure. This can be our question time tool, and we need to answer that question with a similar melody that's going to answer part A. Here we go. Maybe like this. Okay, let's listen to what we've just come up with. Okay, maybe not the best melody, especially the end here could be a bit better. But we're just using this for educational purposes, aren't we? So I'm going to create a duplicate this one and call it lead trigger, lead sidechain, and then going to send this one, let's call it lead, and group it in a lead bus group for later. I'm going to send this one to the lead sidechain. Here we are. And I think it's time to take a look at the fab filter to see if it's still coping. Yeah, I think this is acceptable. There were a few peaks it had to tame, but nothing too serious or too long to distort anything. The sub bass is going through nicely. You can see the snare hitting around -10. And if you go and compare this to other commercial tracks, you'll find that it's pretty much the same. Right, let's see. What else can we do? What I can do is add a rolling hi-hat groove in the second part of the drum break. So let's see. Let's go to all Vengeance samples and find a closed hi-hat. Nothing too stereo-like, this is okay. There we go. Just put one every other beat. And we're going to focus just on this for a sec. Let's loop it. We're going to add... Well, you know what? Let's make this a tambourine sample and let's make this the downbeats. So I'm going to move these 2 spaces ahead so they come in between these notes. Copy that over here. And let's find a tambourine sample to make it a bit more poppy still. We're really going for this commercial stuff right now. It's not Christmas yet, is it? Let's take this one. Okay, I'm going to make the second one, that's on the offbeat, a lot shorter. And I'm going to cut out some serious mid-ranges, so it is really the lesser of the two, so to say. Wait a minute, did I just insert the tambourine here? Yeah, then we have to switch them around. Okay, this is better. And then we do what I just said. There we go. Then, this is kind of a machine gunny thing right here. So what you can do to get some kind of groove going there is use LFO tool again. In this case, we're going to use a preset I created called, where is it? Hat groove. As you can see, 4 hats, the first one and the third one are a bit more high in volume, and the second one and the fourth one a bit lower. And without it, there we go. I am just going to move this over here and copy this a few times, so we add some variation to the drum groove. Let's listen one more time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this again, so we have 16 bars, and just use the variation on the last 8 bars. I think that is better. There we are. Right. So I think what we have here is a basis of what we can use for a drum and bass track, or just a means to create a drum and bass track. Let's add some effects. That's the last thing that we can do before I sign off today. Let's go to Serum. You can create all kinds of crazy effects in Serum. For example, a nice special kind of drum, metallic-ish kind of thing, if you play with some of these things here. Let's see, let's use something a bit more noisy. No. Something over here, and a little ring modulation as well. And nice. There we go, maybe a pitch envelope at the start to give it some oomph. It's got a little lasery, hasn't it? Let's just use it as a sidechain. There we go, and I'm going to put this in the beginning, see where this gets us. Maybe it will sound crappy, maybe it won't. There we go, it's something special, you know, something to add some sonic interest. And that's it. Then, of course, we can do a white noise drop in Serum, one of the easiest things to learn. We don't need this, we just need the noise. And a bandpass filter. And we want the sound to go this way. So here we go. We use this as an envelope and we make this a bit longer. Increase the volume a little bit. There we go. As I said, we can easily sidechain this to another bus and then put the triggers on there to duck away for the kick and the snare. Alright, I think that's it, or we're nearing the end. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm very glad that the people from Bass Gorilla gave me the opportunity to teach you a little bit about making modern drum and bass music. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe we'll see each other again. Yeah, would be cool. Would be cool to arrange this into a full tune. Maybe I can, you know, post another video somewhere on YouTube about how to proceed from this and how to make the first theme into a theme B and then a theme C to get the drop going and to work out the song, and how to make a build up and to make an intro. Would be cool. Okay, thank you very much everyone, and I'll catch you around. Cheers.